What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Jessica Lee of Advertience. And Jessica, I'm going to formally introduce you in a second. But before I do, I always like to point out other episodes people should check out of the podcast. And since this is part of the Top Agency series, I had Kevin Hurrigan on the podcast, who runs Spinia Tech, and he's had an agency since 1995. And so it really talks about the evolution of the industry, the evolution of his career, which kind of went through some ups and some downs too. So check that one out. Also, I had Jason Swank on. Jason Swank talked about how he built up his agency to 8 figures, sold it, and then he started buying up agencies in his next chapter. And also he runs an agency group for top agency owners as well. So check that episode out. There's actually 2 episodes on that. He talks about valuation of agencies, the agency landscape, and different operational things too, which Jessica and I are going to talk about as well. So check those out and more on InspiredInsider.com. And this episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect their dream 200 relationships. And how do we do that? We actually do that by helping you run your podcast. We're an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do the strategy, the accountability, and the full execution. Jessica, we call ourselves the magic elves that run around in the background and make it look easy for the host and the company so they can create amazing relationships and great content. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. And I found no better way. Jessica was asking, why do you do this? And before we got on, I was like, I found no better way over the past decade to profile the people and companies I admire and really share with the world what they're working on. And so if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, you can go to rise25.com, along with relationships and professional development and authority and content, all those things. So check it out. But I'm excited to introduce Jessica Lee. For over 22 years, she's been in, I don't want to age you, Jessica, or anything, but she has over 22 years in online marketing experience, both in Canada and China. She's worked with brands such as Alibaba, Yahoo China, Under Armour, HP, Home Depot, Nintendo, and many more. She's president of Advertience, and Advertience is a media investment management consulting firm. They help organizations leverage the power of data to drive insights, targeting, and performance. She's actually an engineer by trade, and actually she studied biomedical engineering. Like myself, my background was actually, I studied biochemistry. So we have a lot in common there. She bridged marketing and engineering, and she'll talk about, that's part of the things that makes Advertience unique as well. So Jessica, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy.
Let's start off and just talk about, I mentioned a little bit, but what does Advertience do?
Advertience stands for advertising plus science. And by its name, it's fairly clear that we're trying to use the scientific approach to solve some advertising and digital marketing challenges there. So
you can see here, if you're listening to the audio, there is a video piece as well. And you could see, my background biochemistry. I've never seen the element DA, but it's probably because that's just your data analytics. But you could see here on the website as well. Yes.
And the core of our offer is analytics. So we prefer and we highly suggest all of our clients to have analytics in place before they do any digital marketing. So in that case, they have their effort measured, tracked, and so they can have insights at the end of the day. So they know that they're making decisions based on the insights instead of based on someone's guessing.
How did that? Did the service offering evolve at all, or has it always been like that?
It has always been like this. Service has evolved. We certainly grow during the past several years. But the data and analytics focused approach has not changed. That's in our DNA since we started.
We'll talk about some examples, one of which, so people can understand a little bit more, because I know you help companies in nonprofit, in education, the public sector. But let's talk about the Olympics for a second and the kind of work you did there.
So for Olympic Foundation, so we started working with them for 4 years ago, and it was during the Olympic game that got postponed during the COVID. So during that time, being that Olympic is such a international event, however, we all know that in many countries that the athletes, they're basically sponsored. They don't really get paid really well. So as a foundation, Olympic Foundation, they are responsible for raising the funds so they can provide support to those athletes. So when we worked with them, that we were their digital marketing arm during the games to raise the awareness and also to raise the funds that gets to the foundation.
So then, what are some things you do to raise awareness?
During the time being that we can give you a small example that what we did was Canada is one of the countries that's during nonprofits are allowed to run a lottery campaigns. So lottery especially here we're talking about a 50-50 lottery campaign. So if you buy 50-50 lottery, you get half of the price and the foundation gets to keep the other half as the donation. So that being said, that one of the aspects that we did with them was based on the 50-50 tickets that's sold during the Olympic Games. So specifically what we did was we need to find out that who are more likely to watch the games during the time being, and also more likely to feel that they want to support. And also during the time being, who think that it's going to be fun if you're supporting at the same time with the possibility of...
You can win some money.
Yes. So it's all the fun in one place. However, from marketing perspective, is how do you find these people? It's not just you can just say, hey, it's fun, so everybody would jump in. We're going to have to find those people who are more likely to play, who are more likely to enjoy, and at the same time, they meet the required legal age to buy any lottery tickets.
Do you remember what the jackpot built up to?
In
By the way, that's a genius idea. I love it.
In Ontario, we had the jackpot got up to over $1 million.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, thank you. Lottery tickets are by province. They can't cross the province borders. So in Ontario, it was over $1 million. And in Alberta, it was also over $1 million. And in BC, it was around 700,000 altogether. And in many other smaller provinces, it was lower.
That seems, do you have partners that help you put that stuff together? It seems like it's there's a lot of moving pieces there.
Yes, we do have a partner. We work with the technology partners in terms of setting up those tickets. So they're the technology partner. So in terms of when you buy those tickets nowadays, you don't go to a booth to buy a physical ticket anymore. You buy digital ticket and it will be sent to your email.
Very cool. That seems like an out-of-the-box way of doing stuff. Are there any other examples, not necessarily with just the Olympics, but like raising funds with lotteries? I would consider, I guess, out of the box. Are there any other fun out-of-the-box scenarios that you've used to help companies?
Yes, we work with a lot of nonprofits. Another nonprofit that we work with, we are their strategic partner in terms of helping them design the nonprofit fundraising products. One of the products that we assisted them was symbolic gifting ideas. So many of us wanted to help someone, but we don't feel that we just want to give you $20. But we want to feel that I give you something that's meaningful that will change your life. So, and the symbolic gifting development entails that you can help someone who are in the hospital during the holidays a pair of reading glasses. Or you can help some children during the Christmas time that give them a Santa hats, things like this. They don't have to be the actual product, but it's a symbolic.
Love it. You did some work with Tim Hortons Foundation too.
Yes.
What did you do there?
Tim Hortons, we did the same thing. It is the lottery campaign. Right. And
They should have got like lifetime supply of Tim Hortons. Is that included?
The 50-50 rule is very strict that they will have to be the cash price at the end. You can't just get the unlimited coffee.
Too bad. I don't drink coffee anyway, so it wouldn't help me. But how do you, at the end, is there some announcement or some special media piece at the end for the winner? How do you manage that?
The announcement will be made by the organization. And funny thing was that at the very first game, we are allowed to participate. So I tested the system and thinking that I'm going to buy a ticket. And I was the very first winner of winning the first early bird.
No way.
Yes.
Did they say this is rigged? Did they let you win?
They did.
Oh, wow. I guess it's digital, so you can track it, but they're like, hey, this is rigged.
Right. There was no rule that vendors cannot buy. So it's allowed.
I'm not going to ask how much you won because
it's an early bird, so it's only $1,000. It's not much.
I gotcha.
But I was happy that someone called me saying that, oh, I'm the Canadian Olympic Foundation. And I was thinking that, oh, it must be my client. And then they said, no, you won our early bird. And I was so thrilled.
So there's multiple winners there. So they'll do like an early bird winner, not just like a jackpot winner. So there's multiple winners.
Correct.
That, I imagine, gets them a lot of great positive publicity too, each winner they announce, right?
Correct, exactly. And I've been on several calls with some clients. When they make that phone call, it's always the best thing in your life that to tell someone you just won the lottery.
Then people start asking for money. I don't know if you want to do that, even though it's only $1,000. So lots of nonprofits. Also the education sector. There's Trios. What'd you do with them?
So Trios is it's a private college. It's a community college with 8 campuses here in the greater Toronto area. And their programs are not the most fancy programs. Instead of their programs offers personal support workers or digital marketing specialists, the programs that's rooted in the community. So one of the challenges that they have is that people want to be close to where they live to go to the college, but they really don't have that awareness to know that which college they should really go to. And for us, working with them is mainly on the lead gen side. So we get our proposition right, and we target those students who are more likely to apply for a community college like this with a very reasonable cost.
Yeah. You know, I wanted to talk, and before we hit record on this, we were talking about your approach as a company to digital advertising and the digital industry in general. Just talk about that and how it's a little bit unique.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to our approach in digital, in the industry, that mainly there are 2 things that we considered we did it right. One thing is the operational efficiency. Many of the agencies are still using the manual way in terms of building reports, fill out the Excel files. And I came from technical background, so we built entire system to ensure that everything is automated. we want our client to hire us by our brain instead of by our hands. We don't really build clients by hourly rate. We build clients by how much value we can bring you. So that's a difference. And based on the efficiency and the automated reporting system that we built, we basically reduced our workload by 30%. As mentioned earlier, that no one wants to be a full-time reporting specialist and doing Excels all day, every day. We wanted to get insights. We don't want to just get numbers. We want to get insights. That's one thing that we considered we did it right. It put us in a place that the client truly value our work instead of paying extra for just a report.
Some companies actually come to you for this piece. I don't know if that's kind of like in a different, I don't know if what you'd say it's more kind of B2B, but like they are coming to you for operational efficiency help, right? And to reduce their workload. And there was a company in manufacturing industry. What were some of the things you did there to help them with their operational efficiency?
That's a great question, Jeremy. When it comes to efficiency, especially when it comes to reporting efficiency, we all know that when we build a report, we get one number from here, Facebook, we get another number from there, from Google, and one number from Bing, and we put them in the same chart, and that takes about 10 minutes. But if there's a backend, everything is connected via backend that we build our own API to grab all this information. And we just click one button and everything will show up on the screen. So in that case, the client doesn't have to go to different platforms to see all their numbers. They just go to one place and click a button and then they can see their entire company's performance.
So maybe it's not just agencies, but other companies, have you build them integrations and automations based on that for them?
Yes, and I'm having another conversation with a brand new client tomorrow, and he reached out to us because of his awareness of how we build things, and so we're having a conversation with him tomorrow.
What type of companies are good for that? I mean, I could obviously digital agencies, right? They're trying to create reports and collect data. What other type of companies are good for that particular type of service?
Clients as well. There are a lot of traditional clients from traditional industries that they're very good at what they do, but they're not necessarily always data savvy or digital savvy, but they're looking for solutions to reduce the complexity of their day-to-day operation. So those clients are also looking for solutions like this.
So they may have an internal team handling marketing or other, data, and you can kind of go in there and help them integrate and automate some of these things.
Exactly.
So on the and then you come from operational efficiency. I'm kind of wondering from your background, and you can kind of choose which lesson maybe was impactful for you. But I mentioned at the front of the interview, Alibaba, Yahoo China, Under Armour, HP, Home Depot. Which one of those sticks out as like a big lesson you learned when you were working with one of those brands?
I think there are two brands that really stood out when I think about these questions. One is Yahoo, one is Alibaba. And we all know, and we don't have to hide the fact that the brand Yahoo, it's no longer the one that we knew it was for. From an insider perspective, I was working there for the longest time, and we kind of felt it at the time. The company was not run based on the internet mentality. The company was run, but more so like a traditional industry. So that's a part of the lesson that internally we enjoy the time there, but there are some lessons to be learned.
So with that, would you say they weren't being as agile, or how would you kind of categorize it or think about it?
Innovation. I think one thing is innovation. Another part is to try to focus on process too early. So we had a really well-established process at a very early time. So it basically limited the creativity and limited the willingness to be more innovative. And the people are following rules way too early at that early internet stage.
So what would you, thinking back, maybe have done differently? Because you're a very process and operational oriented person in general. So what would you have thought maybe you would have embedded more into the company looking back?
Looking back, that I think there's really not anything that is specific we want to change. And I think more so it's the mentality we want to change. The mentality is that what is the best thing for the business? We're building process for the benefit of the business. We're not a building process for building the process. I think that's the biggest difference, that we really go back and rethink why we did it.
Yeah. So if there was process built around the thought of how do we make more innovation and creativity, that would be the mentality of going in. It's still process, but it's more of the thought of creating it for a specific reason to, increase the company.
Right.
Got it. And what about Alibaba?
Alibaba, we all know, such a successful endeavor and effort. And I worked on the same floor with Jack Ma, and it was a rewarding experience.
What was he like?
He's really, really nice. He's short, but he's nice.
He's what?
He's short.
Oh, short in his answers, or how tall he is?
He's pretty much my same height as
Gotcha.
So I'm 5'3", and he's probably 5'4".
Wow. So what, maybe observing him or talking to him, what were some of the things you learned?
He's a very open-minded person, and he has the charisma of being a leader. And he has vision, and everybody gives him that. And he's very convincing.
How so? What did you see him do that was convincing?
I can't recall a specific case at this point. But whatever, that when he started talking, the things just make a lot of sense now. At the same point, if I'm talking about it, it doesn't feel it was too meaningful, too bright. But when he started talking about the same thing, and now it makes sense.
He had a compelling way and a convincing way of just kind of explaining things, it sounds like. Right. Talk about, so from that end, from Alibaba, anything else, any other lessons?
One more thing that Alibaba sort of embodied into the entire company. One thing that everybody always go back and reference it is embrace the change. That's a Alibaba mentality that many of us are afraid of changes. And we generally, I don't think that human beings love changes, because no changes make things a lot easier. But embracing the change, embrace changes, it's a model in Alibaba. And I think that's probably one of the key things that made the business so successful, is that the internet industry is evolving every day. And if you don't embrace the change, then you're going to fall behind.
What, as president of Advertience, what are your responsibilities?
So I had a joke about it with my business partner, Raymond Reed, and I said, I'm responsible for making money. You're responsible for spending money. So my responsibility here is on the business development side, product development, and the team. And Ray's responsibility is more on the operational managing, the other side of the business. The side that you don't see a lot, but it's equally important.
I mean, sometimes, you need to spend money to make money, but I'm sure there's some friction between those two things, right? A natural friction. What are some things, and maybe it wasn't like a heated argument, but that you had to debate whether, okay, no, we shouldn't spend on that, or no, you got to slow that down because of the operations, right? So what were some of those debates that you had to have and to come to a decision?
Um, it's been quite fortunate. We don't have a lot of disagreement. So that
Because you win, that's why. No, I'm just kidding.
Another time. I'm quite fortunate that well supported and by my business partner in terms of spending money to make money on that approach. So we are, whenever we consider we need to pay our staff better, we need to offer promotions just because they did really well. All those things that we are most of the time on the same page, exactly the same page. When I bring it up, and he always 100% agrees.
Yeah, I mean, because I have a business partner and we get along, but we definitely don't always agree. So there could be, I mean, I think a couple of weeks ago we got, we're like brothers, right? And so we'll bicker. And there was a staff member on the meeting, and they were like, there was a couple staff members, and one was newer, and they were like, and afterwards, I'm like, don't worry, like we still love each other, it's fine, because they're like, oh my God, like what I getting myself into, but there's always stuff, maybe he is more passionate about than me, and so we have to convince each other, right? So, from a leadership perspective, what are some of the things you do as a team that help you run?
Thank you for asking that question. A couple of things we do differently than at least to my not to my awareness than other agencies, is that we care about our people. I'm not necessarily saying that they don't care, other agencies don't care. So one of the things that we started 2-3 years ago is that every quarter, every 3 months, we're gonna carve out one entire week. We call it our agency development week. We don't take client calls in that week. We don't reach out to clients. We don't do business development. For that entire week, we take care of 2 things. One, mental health. And the second, that we will organize trainings, we will collaborate, and we will have fun together. So that's every quarter we have that week. We call it the agency development week.
So what are some things you do then? So you're saying agency clients make the people crazy? Because we need a break from the for our mental health.
Not gonna lie.
What are some of the things you or the team do during that week to help?
Yeah, one of the things is training. So I benefited from professional trainings in my earlier career. And I think that the training, we outsource some trainers to provide trainings to us. We also develop trainings from one team to another as well. So that's one training. And another one is we get together sometimes when we can get together for an in-person event, we can, but many of the times it's hard, especially during COVID. We have this thing called the cloud lunch, team lunch. So Zoom lunch, basically. Everyone just pop up on the Zoom and we have a lunch together, team lunch together.
I like that. You also really encourage like a cross-department collaboration. So just talk about some of the things you do there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you a very specific example that we hired a very strong candidate as account manager, managing client relationship. And after a while that we realized that his true capability and the true passion is actually on the system side, not on the people side. So after several conversations that we identified that we really saw him gonna shine on the other side. And he actually was thinking exactly the same thing, but he didn't get a chance to share yet. So and after some arrangement, the team members started working on a completely different department other than on the account management side.
But you encourage that even from a proactive standpoint. So how do you encourage that with the team? So it's not even, necessarily up to you or someone else to say it.
I think that creating that culture and the environment is really important. We have morning huddles every day. So it takes about 15 to 20 minutes, and everyone will share what they really want to do and how busy they are. So if someone is not busy enough that they can volunteer and say that I saw a client call is going to happen today, I want to be on that client call to see if there's something that I can learn. And so that happens on a daily basis.
Yeah, so something like the morning huddle gives visibility to everyone. So if something interests them, you encourage them to participate and learn. What are the other types of meetings you have and maybe the cadences? Because I know, so morning huddle, 15 to 20 minutes. I think before we started, you talked about you have one-on-ones. How does that work and what's the cadence of those?
One-on-one, we have one-on-ones that is a monthly base, and every month that we make sure that we have a one-on-one session with each individual on the team, trying to understand several things. The most important thing to see if they're happy. I need my team to be happy. So when I know that they're happy in terms of their compensation and in terms of their responsibility, and if they're taking on too much. So those things that, I truly believe that if it is a one-on-one environment, it's much easier for anyone to share. If it is a team environment, people just mostly pretty shy and don't want to express their concerns or issues.
How long are those meetings and how do you run them?
Half an hour, most of the time. And so basically it starts with my questions, opportunities, ups and the downs in the most recent month, any blind side that I have that they see that they can help me address it. And if there a couple of more questions we ask during those calls is if you have helped a teammate or if any teammates have helped you. So it's so important for me to know that between the teammates that they are having a great relationships of helping each other instead of just a competition.
Yeah. And then are you doing all of them or you kind of split them up among different leaders as well?
I'm doing all of them.
Are there any other, so you have those monthly one-on-ones, you have the morning huddles, any other meetings that are important?
Um, we also have manager calls on a weekly basis. And for those who are interacting with either clients or team members, that we call them they manage people. And when managing people, it's important that we share if they have any challenges, experiences, and the learnings, and what is the approach to address problems without hurting anybody's feelings.
Jessica, I have one last question. Before I ask it, I just want to point people to advertience.com. It's advertience.com to learn more about what they do there. And my last question is on resources.
Mhm.
Some of your favorite resources. It could be technology resources. your tech stack. It could be books. It could be mentors that you learn from. What are some of your, favorite resources that people should take a look at?
I have a really good resource that I want to share, and I benefited from it a lot. It's an organization called Tech Canada. It's an organization for entrepreneurs to form small groups, and every month we get together, and it's the same group of people, 12, 15 sometimes. Then we get together and we share how we feel as a business entrepreneur, also as a human being. So many of the times we feel different as a business owner, and it's a very lonely place to be an entrepreneur. But when you sit amongst the 16 others, you don't feel that loneliness anymore. And we can be very open-minded, authentic, and I really value that organization.
Amazing. Jessica, I want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for sharing your journey, your knowledge, your stories. I want to check out advertience.com, more episodes of the podcast. And thanks so much. And we'll see everyone next time.
Thank you, Jeremy.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like $100 grand.